June 13th, 2023, meeting of the Harwich Bylaw Charter Review Committee. Call to order and public comment. Anyone? Okay. Approval of minutes for May 9th.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the minutes as written. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Handler, come in.
Thank you for having me.
See if you can find something close to a mic, because I expect we'll want to talk to you.
Dan Twar.
Pleasure, Dan. Nice to see you again. Thank you.
Yes, hi, Jeff.
Hi, good to see you again.
Yes, you.
Chair?
We've met.
Of course. Yeah, pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Jeff is our new select board liaison, and it's good to have him here. We start off our agenda tonight with just a review of charter provisions under Mass General laws. And Jeff, you have a stack of papers there in front of you.
Thank you.
You have section 310 and 14 of the general law, chapter 43B, as pertains to revisions, adoption, and what happens if things aren't done properly.
Thank you.
The 43B very clearly calls for any revision in the form. If you will take a look, and I think I've highlighted that part, section 10, that any change relating to composition, mode of election, or appointment or terms of office of the legislative body, the mayor, city manager, board of selectmen, or town manager must go through a full-on elected charter commission. And I think, the purpose of this discussion, we have heard various discussions from the board of selectmen that seem to indicate that they might want to constitute a charter commission in some other way. So this is just a review of that, and unless anybody has any comments about that or any questions, all set with that. I'm going to turn this over to Linda for item 2.
You mean B?
Item B, which is the consideration of response to the select board regarding possible additional committee to undertake a review of the charter and use of funds voted for a consultant as approved at the 2020 Fall Town Meeting, Article 3.
Okay, as you
Why don't you pull your mic a little closer, Linda?
Sure, if I may.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
We are on, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As you can see, in the Fall Town Meeting of 2022, which is about 8 months ago, there was an article passed for $75,000 for a raise and appropriate from available funds sufficient sum of money to support a comprehensive review restricted to the town's current code, which is comprised of the Harwich Charter, general bylaws, and to act thereon, which indicates a charter review committee, but a full review of the charter. And since then, this committee has asked the select board what it is happening with that $75,000. We have been given less than any indication that we are going to be allowed to spend that to hire an outside consultant to look at certain sections of the charter. And it seems that in some of the comments that have been made at select board meetings, that looking at things like changing town meeting from what we have now as open town meeting to something else, changing a town administrator to town manager, these things are fairly significant changes and really should warrant either a review from outside using this consultant under the Bylaw Charter Review Committee, or a full-blown charter commission, which means that $75,000 would go to the charter commission, which is an elected board and is totally separate and independent from the Select Board. To that end, drafted a quick letter.
Thank you.
And it basically is asking the Select Board to allow us to use those funds to hire someone for advice, and that to do that under the committee itself, our bylaw charter review committee in the current charter says that the committee shall regularly review the bylaws of the town and submit proposed revisions to the town meeting at least once every 5 years. We have been submitting suggested changes to the Select Board. I spent so many years calling it Board of Selectmen. I now have to change my
We all.
Select Board. Yes, well, I'm the one who was behind it, so I should be able to
You
change.
should be further along.
So this committee has been sending suggested changes to the Select Board, and basically none of them get acted on, and we get kind of pushed to the side. Okay, so, and we are supposed to be reviewing all articles proposing to changing the bylaws or the charter within, and the Select Board is supposed to be sending them to us no later than 14 days after the submission of those articles, and we don't see those either. But I think that the issue is, we would like to have access for the $75,000, and we would like to go out, find someone that we can start working with us who is well-versed in charters, even though I think you have a lot of experience on this board. You're never a prophet in your home. So therefore, we'd like to have someone external who will have no pony in the race and just will give us good advice. So that is why this letter was drafted, coming from the Bylaw Charter Review Committee.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments?
No, I think Linda did. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Carol?
I'm digesting the whole thing.
Well, in keeping with
I'm just-
open meeting law, I didn't want to send it out by email.
Yeah, no, basically you're asking that they make the $75,000 available to us to begin the process of hiring a charter
Yes.
consultant. Okay. I guess my question would be, so that's successful, we hire a charter consultant, and we have a consultant, and we start to make suggestions for changes. Are they going to be received in the way that they've been received so far? I mean, is this charter consultant going to give this committee more teeth than we already have, is what I'm concerned with. Because so far, any suggestions we've made have fallen on deaf ears. And I don't know that $75,000 thrown at the problem is going to make it any better.
Well, I guess personally, I'm trying to separate behavior from action steps. The action step that this committee can make is request the money and put forth suggestions. If the suggestions, again, are not received, that's why they have citizens petitions. And it only takes 10 signatures. So if we continue to be effectively ignored, then we go the citizen petition route.
Or the full-on charter
Or a
commission?
full-on charter commission, which requires collecting about 1,200 signatures, et cetera, and it's elected.
Correct.
It seems that the lack of interaction between this committee and the select board in a positive manner, that it's time for us to move forward with or without them.
I question whether or not that's feasible.
Fair question.
Fair question.
We won't know the answer to that until we try, or see what we can do. And since we actually have a functioning liaison this year, at least we assume he's functioning,
I knew that was coming.
hopefully we can establish some new and improved line of communication. Do you see that as a possibility, Mr. Handler?
100%.
Okay.
Can't speak for my board.
Nope.
I can't speak to what happened in the past. And 4 weeks in, at your first meeting, I've spoken to Sandy. I am confident that if procedures are followed the way they should be, and recommendations are brought to me, your liaison, that I can act as a bidirectional conduit. I don't like hearing what you just said, to be quite honest with you. I wasn't there back then. So I have no frame of reference to any of that. I can only speak from right this very moment. And as I would like to see the consultant arrive. I think that would be a really good first step. I don't see anything wrong with this letter at all. I think it puts your feelings and thoughts in a very clear, concise, friendly way, which is important to me. And I would hope you would expect that I would represent to the select board exactly what it is you draft and then vote on and want changed. Again, I can't speak for the other four, but you have my word that I will represent this incredible committee exactly the way it should be.
Isn't it wonderful to be thrown in the deep end?
It's what I asked for, Linda. I love the deep end.
Good.
Well, look, I mean, I just went from golf to here, and I'm meeting all of the, you know, the chairs and the committees that I've now become the liaison to. And some of them are going to be easy, some of them are going to be challenging, but at the end of the day, I'm the right person for the job, and I'm here to make sure that, as I claimed during my run for 2 selectmen races, that I'm here for everybody, not just your committee, not just with people that think I'm important, but people who now think I'm important, that never thought I was important, but now they think I'm important because I'm in a chair. I'm here to represent you, and I'm going to take this committee as a standalone, and I'm here, 2 feet in.
Oh, it's very reassuring, and it's certainly a step up.
Well, you're also going to get to hear what I say in public when I'm supporting you and supporting your actions and
Dan?
causes.
I'm the liaison from the FinCom.
Oh, right on. I'll see you soon, because I'm on that one.
Okay. Any sense of why the board has not been responsive to your requests?
Anybody want to take that?
I think some of it is timing. When everybody in March, February and March is in the throes of how can we afford everything we want to do, including the moon, and there's the budgets and trying to wrestle all that through, I think suggesting a charter change in the middle of that gets short shrift, just because of everything else that's going on. So I think it would behoove this committee to see if we get a different response if we put suggestions out in August, which is plenty of time, or September, plenty of time to have a public hearing, to have the wording, go through legal, and then get to its final form so it's ready to go into the warrant. I think that might be some of it. I think some of it is a reluctance to hear anything.
So just look the other way. Whatever.
Some of it is
Basically,
personal.
yeah, I was going to, I didn't want
Some
to
of
say
it
that,
is, some
but
of it is
yes.
personal.
Yes.
Yeah, that, I think
Yes.
that's probably the greater problem. But we can probably try to work through that if we have a voice here. I mean, that's, I think we, you know, maybe we just look at this as, okay, we start here and see where we go. And hopefully that what's happened before doesn't continue to happen. Because none of us really wants to have that kind of antagonism.
No.
And if we aren't going to be at least acknowledged and the work we do at least discussed and considered, then what are we doing here? There's no point in any of us spending the time, and we've all spent a lot of time on this.
If I may, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. To your point, I purposely did not do a deep dive on why the 4 articles, I believe, that were submitted did not make the warrant. I don't want to know. It doesn't matter to me at all. What matters to me, and I'm so glad that you put it so perfectly, is start from right now.
Mhm.
That would be my hope.
Okay. That would be productive. It would be, I think, move all of us to continue to try to do what we're doing. We have been continuously reviewing the charter, so this whole question of the 5 years is kind of a non sequitur. We are doing it. We are reviewing it all the time. We've talked to Capital Outlay. We've talked to FinCom a couple of times. We've had joint session. That's probably going to be on the agenda. Some of these other things have kind of pushed that aside for the moment. We've talked to Board of Selectmen in at least one joint meeting. We've had the town administrator in here 2 or 3 times. And it was he who originally suggested that we have a consultant. And it was presented to us as for this committee to use to guide us through a process that is lengthy, it's detailed, and there may be many new things that are possible, or different ways of doing things that are possible that we didn't anticipate in 1987 or 2002, whenever the last review was done. So yes, that's.
And I think that having a public hearing or two, the people who read the charter, what are their suggestions to enhance it? Because this committee isn't going to work in a vacuum, what we think it should be. It's going to be, what does the public have to say? What does the public have to suggest? And how does that all fit in? And, does that all work within, of course, mesh and roll up?
Understood.
So you have before you a draft letter. Is there a motion to forward that to the Board of Selectmen? The Select Board, excuse me.
I will move that.
All right. Motion, second?
Second?
Moved and seconded to forward this draft letter to the Select Board. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I think the only suggestion I might have, and I don't know how you incorporate, I'd like to have a timeline on this. I mean, we're asking them to the timeline. When is this $75,000 going to become
You want to give them
available?
a deadline?
Well, I'd like to have a response within a certain amount of time.
I'm not sure that's going to work. I don't think we can.
Well, I mean, this is another, I mean, the letter is good, and I understand it, and it's well done, and I see the point. However, if it doesn't get acted on for 3 months,
Well, I suppose we could ask for a response in time for our next meeting, which is a month away. That's not
I
unreasonable.
mean,
is
I
it?
don't think it's unreasonable to request a timely
Yeah.
I have no
response.
opinion on this.
Yeah, I would,
Should we ask that this be agended within the next, because they're right now on their 2 weeks?
Not yet. So
this Monday, and then you have 2 weeks after that.
I believe so.
Dan?
I had the same reaction when I read this, that given that the board is reluctant, if you will, to address these matters, that some kind of language which requests a timely response to this request is appreciated.
Well, do you want to try to set a hoped-for deadline, or just a,
Or
or just,
We anticipate a response.
maybe we would like to anticipate a response in time for our August meeting
I'd like
at
to
such
put
and
a
such a
time,
date.
time,
What about our,
on it.
Yeah,
what,
August
our
would be
August meeting at such and such a time?
because otherwise it could drag on another 2 or 3 months, you know, and then we've got the $75,000 and we don't have time to use it.
All right.
So
The
August,
second Tuesday in August. The second Tuesday is the 8th.
okay.
We would like to anticipate a response for our next committee meeting on August 6th.
Well, for our, in time for our committee meeting, because would also have probably one in July, where we might talk about golf.
they're ready.
in July.
They're ready?
They're ready for you.
Okay. So is everybody happy with that?
Do you want it
Yeah.
for July 6th or July whatever it might be?
I would say August 8th. The summer, it is the every 2-week schedule. It still gives us plenty of time to
All right. So
work, and
I'll-
we can come up with other recommendations. In the meantime, I think we have other things we can talk about. So I would say that would be reasonable.
Then it gives, because I think it is the beginning of July that you start in the every 2 weeks, so it gives
Yeah.
them a little more wiggle room
Mhm.
to actually put it on an agenda. 'Cause having sat on that board, the agendas get really big when you don't meet
They
for a
do.
week, and they start getting crowded.
Mhm.
So we would like to anticipate a response for our next committee meeting on August 6th.
Okay.
Is that,
That wouldn't be the next meeting, though.
No,
We're
our,
having one in
our,
August.
just say our
Our meeting in
our next
August.
meeting?
our
on
August
August
6th
8th.
Yeah,
meeting.
just
How's
the
that?
It's
August, the
August
August.
Or August 8th.
Oh, it's August 8th,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Okay, that works.
Okay?
Okay, everybody's happy with that. So Carol, did your motion include that change?
Will now.
Your second?
I second, yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody speaking? Carol? Aye?
Aye, yeah.
It is a unanimous vote. And I think that really finishes up what we need to do today. We have old business is to talk about the discussion with the Finance Committee, if anybody has any observations or things they'd like to say about that meeting, which was very instructive.
Yes, I thought it went very well.
Yeah,
That was good.
yeah, it was a good meeting. We need to talk about some of the things that they've suggested that we might incorporate, which we can do. I'd ask you each to give some thought to that and maybe come back with some suggestions for the next meeting,
Mhm.
unless anybody has any further comments at the moment. Okay, all set. Next steps, well, I think we've just covered that. And next agenda, hopefully I can have golf
The
here.
golf committee, July.
And if anybody has anything else they'd like to put on the next agenda, let me know.
Okay, that would be July 11th?
That would be if you say so.
Yeah.
And she did.
Yes.
Would we want to, somewhere on the July 11th meeting, perhaps talk about the 4 articles that did not get in,
Okay?
about resubmitting them? You know, do they need a revision? Can they go now?
Do we want to try to craft some language for them?
Right.
Okay. Also, be advised that the next meeting is our reorganizational meeting. And I hope you all give some thought to a new chair. I think I've mentioned before that I think no chair should sit in this spot too long, and that it needs to be picked up by someone else on this committee. And yes, I'm looking at,
I know, but I'm not entirely certain I'm going to stay, as I've already shared with you.
if I can talk you out of,
Well, we'll see,
we'll
we'll see.
see.
I just don't know if I have the drive for it anymore, you know.
That's only, it's a
I think
decision only
I've
you
lost
can make.
the fire somewhat. I'm allowed, I'm old.
Stop
You know
it.
what, I think with Jeff here, it's going to make a difference.
It
I
could,
feel
it
it.
definitely could. Could be new blood. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure where I'm at this
So we'll
point.
do golf,
I've been,
we'll do reorganization,
Yeah.
And we'll do maybe some language crafting for 4 articles that never saw the light of day.
Yeah, we thought they were important then. Are they still important?
Of course
You
they
know?
are.
Yeah, so let's look at them.
And they're actually minor, no change to the charter is minor, so let me strike that. But they were modest changes that really should have been non-controversial. One of them was, the charter says town meeting is going to be held the first Monday of October. Well, we thought we would put in the first week of, because we've been talking on and off over the years, but maybe we should try town meeting on Saturday instead of at night.
Which is actually something the Board of Selectmen has talked about and expressed an interest in doing.
And we did do through COVID.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
2 town meetings that were on a Saturday, so,
It was also pointed out to me recently that we overlooked the 4 or 5 town administrator select boards confirmation of appointments, and I think maybe we need to
Yeah.
come back to that one, so it was just sort of lost in the shuffle over time, but somebody noticed and said, whatever happened to that?
Yeah,
So let's get back to that.
I mean, before I leave, Madam Chair, I will do my best to attend as many as I can, but if there is a meeting that the committee feels would be important, give me enough lead time, and I will certainly do my best to be here. If not, I can promise I will watch them all, and whomever the next chair may be, I will be in contact routinely with that person.
and we
Well-
appreciate that.
Yes,
One-
absolutely.
There's only one way to do things, Linda. It's the right way. And
Yes.
I've signed up for this. I'm going to outwork anybody.
Well, you should mark your calendar then for the golf committee, because that, since you're
I already know
liaison
what they're
to,
going to tell you.
liaison to both, that they're coming.
That they're coming, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So they're meeting now?
Now,
Okay,
and there was an interesting question about the charter, and I'll
Ah.
let them bring it to you.
okay.
Good.
And I, like you, Deb, I think I have high hopes for our town and the way our town is running. And I'm excited.
Okay.
Yes.
Can't wait to
Well-
see
Cautiously optimistic.
it. It's the only way to be. If not, I never get out of bed.
Ah,
true enough.
Isn't that the
Thank you all.
truth? Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeff,
Jeff.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there anything else anybody wants to cover?
No, that pretty much does it.
Okay. Well, I think it's probably as good as it gets for the moment.
Well, it's a step in the right direction.
Linda, you'll
And
I
finish
will-
up the draft?
I will do that draft, and what I'm planning on doing is, if it's all right with the board, at the committee, is hand deliver little envelopes,
For each
To
selectman?
each select board member?
yes, to town hall,
I think that is the correct way to go about that.
yeah,
just, actually giving them a real letter instead of an attachment to an email.
right.
Okay, sounds good. I think we're all set. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 5:30, okay.
5:30.
So you're gonna sit here?
God.
Sit here and
Wait for the finance committee?